So she's in the car, you're with Candace, Summer's in the water. Walk me through that. What do you see happening?
I just see her swimming like usual.
How far out is she?
I got out of the car first, and then I opened the back door because my mom's got a double door on her truck.
Right.
So I opened the back door and I let her and Hunter out.
Okay.
And Summer's first thing is to run to the water, of course.
Right.
I was like, Summer, just wait. Let me get my stuff, and I'll walk over there with you. And she waited for me, and I don't know, Hunter went off into the woods somewhere. I don't know. Waited for my mom to get out.
Okay.
And Hunter, he just done disappeared into the woods. I don't know where he went.
Okay. Okay.
And me and my mom and Summer walked over there, and we were just letting Summer play, and then Hunter eventually come back out of the woods wherever he was.
Okay. Where's Grandma at this point?
She was still in the car because she had a call to get.
So she's in the car, you're with Candace, Summer's in the water. Do you go in the water first, or who goes in the water?
Summer was in the water because I was drinking the tea at the time.
Got it. Where were you at?
I was just standing around. Me and her mom was watching.
What are you talking about?
TikTok. Like, she was on TikTok looking at funny videos.
Okay.
And then she was looking through Facebook.
Okay. Okay.
And me and my mom and Summer walked over there, and we were just letting Summer play, and then I'd eventually come back out of the woods wherever he was.
Okay. In that moment where she's in the water, how much time do you think, just a guesstimate, between the moment you saw her underwater and the moment you got her up out of the water?
At least like 4 seconds.
Look at this idea of under the water. Where's that come from? Okay.
That just blew my mind when I heard that. I was like, she didn't even go into, because when she was playing in the water, I was literally taking the TikTok video just to watch, and I did different things because that's how TikTok is. You can do different things with them.
Right.
And I was just taking TikTok video, and he come up out of there somewhere, and I was like, just flashed around, and then he threw up gang signs.
Do you know them?
No, I have no idea who that is. Again, real quick. And then he decided to get in the water right there, and he went like this with the water a couple times. I told him, please stop that. She don't like to be splashed.
Okay.
And so he quit and got out. And I said, come on, son, we got to go get Grandma's prescription. And we just got back in the truck and left.
This is as a reference.
Okay. And so, why is that?
It's a phone.
No. Okay, go.
I was going to say that she texted me saying that her grandma was in the hospital.
Do you have those texts?
No, the TBI has my phone.
Got it.
Dropped her off, and I was sitting there, and Hunter called me and asked me what I was doing. I said I was sitting at the hospital in the parking lot waiting on my mom to get done. And he said, well, why don't y'all come over? I said, well, as long as your mom says it's okay.
Okay, but Hunter had the milk in the middle.
In the middle.
And so now the milk's on the other side of Summer. How does that happen?
I don't know.
I don't either, and that's why I'm asking.
I was over at the park in Bristol with my girl.
Hanging out with your girlfriend? Okay.
What happens very often is when we look at a chart, it literally represents everything that is going on at the time. And I think this is one of these times where a few charts are needed. It's a bit more dynamic. And the one chart, the 632 phone call to the police, is showing us so many areas of what's going on and not giving a clear answer as to what happened or where to look. But now things have started to make sense. So I'm going to show you a couple of things. So as you'll remember in the other video, if you haven't seen it, have a watch of it. Everything in the chart that's important, and I'm talking orb-wise, 26 degrees, 27, all of the degrees that are making an aspect to each other, and here's the areas that we were looking at. Now, what this is showing us, what I can tell now, is exactly what we've been told from the beginning. So, and all of these things pointing to her is everything that she's taking in because of her missing child. I think this chart that I'm looking at is everything that's going on around her and Summer, because remember, Summer at the age of 5 is represented by the moon as well. So this is Mum and Summer. So we've got her brothers around, the younger boy around, this older male who we now know that there was an older male that was at the house, Jose, who was taken to North Carolina by Grandma. We know that there's drugs involved. We know that there's possible water-related, lies about drowning. Now, this Neptune was bothering me. I couldn't tell what it was, and now I'm starting to see that it's simply the lies that we're being told about the drowning, about the water. I don't believe anything now at this point in time that has been said about what happened at the swimming hole, except for that I think she was fine at the swimming hole. But I think this is showing us the story that we're being fed, and stories we're being fed. We're being told about money. We're being told about deviance. We're being told about struggles of power between, does Summer love Don and then Candace is jealous and stuff like that. We've been told about the older male. We know the brothers were there. So all of this is showing us exactly what we know. So how do we look at it a little bit differently? Well, firstly, we look at it with different perspective because we find out more information, and that is super important. You have to always keep finding out information. You can't just do one chart and then go, that's it. Sometimes you can, because sometimes it works that way. But more often than not now, I've noticed this a lot more, especially since Saturn and Pluto have conjoined in 2020. For some reason, astrology's changed slightly, unless it's just my interpretation. It tells us just exactly what it is we're going to find out along the way. Anyway, moving forward a little bit. After watching Chris McDonoagh, there's some major inconsistencies. Like he said, it's a he said, she said. I'm not going to say the boy's name because he's a young boy. Although, which I don't really know why we can't say his name, because we say Summer's name and other children's names. I don't really know why we can't, but anyway. I'm going to pop this chart down and we're going to just have a look at it in a little bit of a different perspective. So I've got a couple of charts here and I'll talk about them in a minute, but first of all I just want to talk about a couple of discrepancies. Did Hunter contact Candace, or did Candace contact him? Why would they contact each other anyway? That's a strange thing, either way. But to me, the boy that was interviewed lied about a lot of things. He lied even just in the general context of things that he was talking about. Now, I know I'm going to get a lot of heat for this, but sorry, it is what it is. He said, I don't like to use apps or on my phone because I don't like to be on video. And then within 5 seconds, he's talking about how he Snapchats. Like, he contradicts himself constantly throughout that entire video. So he's not adverse to telling a story to make himself sound better than he is, which is just true. The thing that I noticed really clearly is the place that he said that he went with his girlfriend afterwards. Now, he said he went to a park in Bristol. So we're going to have a look at the map, and something really interesting pops up then. So before that, I'll show you this. This is the time that Summer was swimming, this chart here. So if you'll remember from the last video, the MC is at 8 degrees Gemini, so it's 68 degrees, right next to the North Node, right next to Mercury, in between this T-square here, so very pivotal, okay, 8 degrees, and 8 to 10 degrees of Gemini. In the 7:30 chart, when the boy said that Candace rang him again, which maybe she did to see if he knew where Summer was, could be possible. But at this point, on the 7th house cusp, look at what we've got, 9 and 10 degrees, the North Node of Gemini, the same position at 7:30. Okay, so this was this apparent phone call that he said that he received from her. We look at the 3rd house cusp and Saturn sitting on it, which is not great. That's not a good indicator. It shows that there's death on his mind in one way or another, maybe because he's being told something and he's thinking that, I don't know. But then we've got Jupiter right there on the IC, the end of the matter. It's like there's lies again. But just note this.
Time.
I was over at the park in Bristol with my girl.
Hanging out with your girlfriend. Okay.
I got curious and thought, let's just stick with the one line that we've been using of major interest, apart from behind the house and at the house, and that's the 68 degrees conjunct the North Node. Now that's the swimming hole there. So if we keep going further, after a little bit of research, before I say anything, this line here is 27 miles out, so the degree of the moon, and then this one's 29, which is actually the part of fortune, and also a pivotal point, so I've used these two. But this area is Bristol, which was discussed by the young boy in the interview about where he went with the girlfriend and the family. Now, Bristol's pretty big and there's a few parks, excuse me, and it crosses over to Virginia as well. But I'm really quite interested in Steel Creek Park here because it's right in the middle of this, between the mileage and 9 degrees of Gemini and 8 degrees of Gemini. These two lines are. And then these two the few parks and areas in here, Parks and Rec actually around there is interesting. But then there's another spot that's grabbed my attention, and it's right over here, but near a campground, and just sort of really follows a lot of what I've heard from other psychics as well, actually. Near a church, a lot of water, and that's this Holston Lake, or Sullivan County Knob Park, around this area, but that's more intuitive. I don't know why I wanted to feel like needed to go there, but so yeah, 68 degrees is the DC, the MC, the North Node in Bristol. So I didn't have to move the line at all. I just continued it on, and then it ended up at the area that he said he was in at the time when Summer disappeared. I have questions about that. I do know that all the parks and areas around there have cameras, and I really, really hope that the TBI and the police have looked at all that footage. I'm sure they would. I would really hope so. But apart from the property area that I've said and across the road, I'd be looking around here. Show a few areas. I mean, I don't know where that kid lives. Maybe someone does and can say, hey, it's actually on this line. So this is a very important area here, and obviously here too. and as shown before, that follows the charts around. When they were swimming, 8 degrees of Gemini, 10 of the North Node, with Mercury right there. Mercury's a young boy as well. That's at that time. And then over here, in the 7th house, what's this one? Oh, 6:30, that chart, yep. So the North Node there. And then there was another chart, this one. Okay, so apparently the kid got home at about 2:30, right? Let's quickly backtrack and look at the 6:30 chart. Well, let's go forward in time to go back in time and have a look at something for a minute to compare with this chart. Okay, so this is 6:32, the original chart. The perpetrator, 26 degrees of Taurus. The ruler of that is Venus in the 8th house of death, okay? So if we take it simply as that, that can be a woman, right? So Venus is at 16 degrees in Cancer in the 8th house. It's very important in this chart here. Okay, so when Hunter's at home, when him and Grandma and his mother see Summer asleep or not, or alive or dead or not at all in the car, look where Venus is, right conjunct the midheaven. So there's an important female going on in this whole thing. There's a few people that know what's going on, but there's one pivotal female. So interestingly with this chart as well, so the time frame that we all don't really know what happened from when the kid was dropped off at home, the ascendant is Libra, the ruler's Venus. The 8th house cusp is Taurus. The ruler of that is Venus. So we've got some pretty heavy Venus stuff going on. It's like there's a female at the forefront and now the young boy is behind the situation. Yeah, I would absolutely be wanting to know what happened from that house after he was dropped off at home up until 7:30, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock that night. Yeah, doesn't look too great actually for the people in that other household. Starting to form a bit more of a clearer picture, and again, like I said before, shows why so much Neptunian stuff was going on. There's lots of lies, lots of inconsistencies. So I can't claim to know exactly what happened, but I just feel like we're getting closer to the truth. Again, this 9th house is activated. Look, now the 9th house cusp here is the same degree, actually, as that park. So maybe the kid went straight to the park at 3 o'clock. And then he's in there, meets someone else. Yeah, there's something going on around that situation. So anyway, that's my interpretation. I hope, in my heart, I hope that maybe this female's just got her and keeping her because she just wants her and she's safe. And there's a baby bird screaming. I really hope that's true. But we're going to have to see what happens next. But yeah, I'm very dubious of the stories that I'm hearing from the child and his mother and that whole scenario.